Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Wildcard Wednesday, where we are going to hear from our Geotab subject matter expert on how to elevate your reporting and use of partner programs to save you money and better protect your drivers and your business. Thanks for joining us. It's really great to have you here today. My name is Sue Miller, and I'm a Senior Fleet Account Manager here at Geotab and your host for today's expert session. So our presenter today is Carlos Moreno. He's been with Geotab for 3 years as a customer success specialist and recently as a marketplace channel engagement manager. He has helped many customers develop success plans to attain their goals on the area of safety, so he is well versed on this subject. So Carlos, take it away.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate it. All right. So today we're going to speak a little bit on what we're calling next level driver safety. And the reason we're calling it that is mid to the end of last year, we did a first, I almost want to call it a part two with you on safety in Geotab, right? It was called the state of driver safety. And for those in attendance, if you didn't get a chance to see that, I do have it linked on this deck. I know Sue will share it. I think it's a great piece to kind of build off of. That first session was primarily focused on the tools and the approach and how to implement just safety in general, utilizing just Geotab and everything that it comes with, just utilizing the database, right? And the rules and everything, all the tools available there. And this conversation, now that I've had a chance to be on the marketplace side, I wanted to expand upon that, right? And I think there's a lot of tremendous valuable partners that are in the marketplace and even free solutions that are available. And I think sometimes those can be overlooked. So I wanted to build upon that and just extend it. So I'm going to almost call this part two. Whenever I have an opportunity to talk to our customers or resellers, I do my best to really get the Geotab hat off for a second and put ourselves in the customer's seat, right? And what does their day-to-day look like? What are their operations may look like? What are they seeing from their end, right? Come down from where we are, living in Geotab world and things are great, into the operations of our end user. And I wanted to kind of paint a picture as we go through the agenda, some of the things that are current events and things to consider moving forward in the next few months. The mindset, when you're coming to the marketplace, I think a lot of people look at it as, oh, I'm going to go in there and, there's going to be a cost associated with it. And am I willing to make that investment, right? But I want to talk about the mindset when we're looking at the marketplace. What should we look at, right? Are we looking at vehicle focused solutions? Are we looking at driver focused solutions, right? And beyond that, I'm going to talk about some of the solutions in the marketplace. What options do we have? Hardware, software. I always have to speak on reporting, right? A lot of the data that we collect is tremendously powerful, and it all has to do with how does the end user going to consume it, right? What reporting do they see? Because we can have all the data points, but if it doesn't make sense to the end user, it loses its power, right? Also, I'm going to talk on free solutions. We have a large amount of selections of free solutions that internally and externally teams have put together, even within Geotab, just from requests that we have from customers and commonly used tools. And we don't want to isolate them and just make them for those specific customers. We want to share them, right? So other users can take advantage of it. And lastly, definitely I want to talk on the telematics responsibility, right? I never want to make these presentations a scare tactic of, hey, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. But we have to be realistic on what is the responsibility of having a Geotab solution. So that's the approach I'm going to go with. Let's go ahead and get started. Some things to consider, and I want to talk just briefly on some of these points. Depending on where you're at, right? Myself, based out of Las Vegas, we're experiencing a huge lifting of restrictions for COVID-19, and I think that's a similar note across the country and in different places. I know Canada might be a little bit different, and when you're looking at different countries, but at least in the U.S., it looks like the trends are some of the restrictions are lifting, and something that we're seeing is just more traffic, right? Traffic is coming back. All of a sudden, 5 o'clock traffic is back, and you're like, what's going on? There's a lot more commuting happening. Another piece is, we have to consider it. We're in May, and we have the summer months coming up, vacation, increase, just state to state traveling, right? We definitely see that. I'll speak on just our city, right? Las Vegas. We have a lot of traveling happening from California to here, and from here to California, right? So and the neighboring states, and I'm sure that's the same across the country. what does this mean for fleets, right? This just means there's more drivers on the road, right? And with more drivers on the road, it's definitely just a higher risk inherently, right? Just because of the number of drivers on the road, there's just more risk for the fleets. And along with more drivers, it also something to consider. There's also more inexperienced drivers on the road, and those are things to consider when it comes to you looking at your fleet, your safety policy, your driver policies. Just keeping these things in mind, right? So moving on, I wanted to share this. This is something that I ran into, and just some statistics, right? Because we wanna consider when do accidents happen, right? We want to have some of that visibility, and to start off with, we're looking at accidents by day of the week, and as we see, most of them happen during the week, right? During the work week, Monday through Friday, Tuesday and Wednesday. Having the highest percentage of accident happening in those days. The weekend, a lower risk, right? And then something that was interesting was accidents by weather type, right? And you would think that, rain, snow, windy would cause more accidents, right? To be careful on the road. But 83%, in reality, 83% of accidents happen on a clear day, which we're coming into the summer months. So we're going to have more of those, right? And something that was interesting, I think it applies to a lot of our customers. I apologize if it doesn't for your particular business. Per department, accidents per department, or a group in the company, right? Sales versus service on average, right? Service teams primarily have a higher percentage rate of accidents happening earlier in the morning, and I can see that when they're starting off their day, going to their first service calls, right? Getting ready and heading out and hitting rush hour during the day. The sales teams primarily, they see an increase of accidents happening midday, around the lunch hour to early afternoon part, and I can see that being the case. I'm going on to their next service call right after lunch and things like that happening. So these are just data points to consider, right, along with the points that we recently talked about on the last slide. So when we mention mindset and approach, right, something that especially coming onto the marketplace, I've had the opportunity to just spend more time on the solutions that we have, and we have to understand, having a telematics solution like Geotab in your vehicles, we're collecting an abundant amount of data and information from the vehicle. So a lot of our reporting, a lot of our safety approaches with internally with Geotab, they're vehicle focused, right? A lot of them are not driver focused. But what I mean by that, for example, I'll use the aggressive driving breakdown, right? Just harsh cornering, harsh braking, things like that. For example, an aggressive harsh braking event. If you have a harsh braking event, if you look at that, the data says that's an unsafe behavior. That's a risky, unsafe behavior. You should mitigate that. You should address that. Probably talk to the driver about it. But if you're looking at a driver focus, it's understanding, okay, what's the context behind that? Why did you brake hard? Right, and that's when a lot of the marketplace solutions can come into play. For example, something that's really big right now in the industry is camera solutions. And if you have a camera solution associated with these, like a lot of our integrated camera partner solutions are integrated with our default rules. So when these default events happen, they capture a snippet event, and you can actually go back and review that tape, that video, and it can give you context of why the driver made that choice. It could be that a pedestrian darted in front, someone cut them off, and maybe they are I don't want to say the word entitled, but it was the right choice, right, for them to create that event. So that's kind of the mindset, like looking at it, not just the vehicle focused data points, take it just for what that is. I think it has tremendous value, right? But also expanding is like, what's the driver experiencing? What's happening there? So that's some of the things that's I think more and more fleets are having that conversation, right? So getting into the marketplace itself, something I think a common comment that we hear is there's just a lot of solutions in the marketplace, right? There's a lot of options in there. I mean, if you talking about camera, we're going to stay on that for a second. Camera solutions alone, there's many options, right? There's a handful of options there, and the reason for that is, I think the question that we get is like, hey, what's the best camera solution? Just give us the best camera solution. We want to get that. But for us is we have to have the conversation with that specific customer to say, well, what's your intended use, right? Because for us, it could be, do you just want a safety parameter driver coaching piece where it just kind of captures the events? Do you want a live feed where your dispatch can monitor and manage consistently, right, and often, right? Is that something you're looking for? It just really depends on the fleet, or is cost a big determining factor for you, right? Because obviously we know it's an investment, and the return on investment on cameras, I think it's tremendous, but the initial cost of, the hardware installation, things like that, fleets have to consider that. So if cost is a thing, what are you intending to use for? And really, that's what the marketplace team is here for, to help these end users say, okay, what are you going to use it for? What do you need? And let's link you up with the best solutions that may fit what you're looking for. So that's where the interaction comes in, because we understand that, right? All the solutions are not one size fits all for all our fleets, right? So the interaction has to be there between your reseller, your PAM, us, to be able to help you identify that the right solution. So speaking about solutions, we're talking a little bit about cameras, and like I said, it is a huge conversation piece right now with cameras. We've actually had some resellers reach out and explain that some of their customers are having communications with their insurance, where their insurances are demanding that their fleet has cameras in place if they want to continue to be covered. Otherwise, they need to stop their fleets, stop operations until they have them. So we're getting a huge push on camera solutions, right? So that's one piece, and really video just provides a great context to the whole story. So when events happen, if they do happen, you can go back and see more. Yes, of course, with Geotab, you can use tools like the accident reconstruction event to tell you everything that happened with the vehicle telematics, right? RPMs, seatbelt usage, speed, lane change. All those things are extremely important. But at the same time, to have, what do they say, an image is worth more than 1,000 words. I think it's worth more than 1,000 data points, right? Because you can see exactly what happened. And a lot of these solutions include road facing, driver facing, or even some include auxiliary cameras. So it's like side facing and also rear facing for the vehicles. So there's a lot of plenty of opportunities, right? And speaking about insurances, we know that the majority of accidents where commercial vehicles are involved, they're usually not caused by them. They're caused by passenger vehicles on the road. But more often than not, the commercial vehicles gets the blame, right? They're the ones with the logo. They're the ones with the asset behind them. Usually that's what an insurance company will target. Now, speaking about software, so that's the camera solution, hardware, and there's definitely, obviously, a lot more options as far as hardware available on the marketplace. This is just one of the primary ones that there's a huge need when it comes to safety right now. But software, right? We have some excellent solutions to be more proactive on the safety approach. Things like we have solutions that take in consideration the behavior of the driver. If there's any safety events being captured, it can proactively trigger training for them, training videos being pushed to the driver that they must complete if they want to continue, obviously, to get onto their next shift and things like that. So there's definitely proactive approach, proactive accountability, right? There's gamification. There's options there where it's more on the incentive and reward side of things when it comes to safety. One that we're seeing an increase of solutions and requests coming in, it's cell phone management, right? A solution that can manage the personal cell phone in the vehicle, to where when the vehicle is on and driving, most of the apps and features are disabled, and all the ones that are enabled are the primary functions, like the phone itself, and things like that. But email, social media, things like that get disabled until the vehicle is stopped. It's a great way to manage your fleet and just make sure that we take the distractions away, right? Just take that away from the equation. Another one that we hear a lot about is lone worker solutions, and these are just solutions that extend the safety onto the driver. For example, it's a solution where the driver has to check in periodically through the software or their phone or the device that they have on, so that communicates with the vehicle, communicates with the software to let the dispatch or the administrator know that they're okay, right? Especially for drivers that are on job sites that they spend a lot of time alone, right? You want to be sure that those guys are safe too. So there's definitely solutions there that not only encompass the vehicle itself, but it extends it to both the driver and even, right, if there's cargo or product, like it even extends it to there for visibility. So a lot of many options, a lot of great things on here. I just took a quick snapshot on some of the ones we have, but definitely worth checking out. I did want to touch just briefly on some of the free solutions that we have, right? Because I did the math. We went through it in the last couple of days just to add them all up. There's more than 60 solutions available, and these solutions are readily already available that our customers can download. It's either a report or a tool or an app that they can download and utilize. A lot of these reports, a lot of these tools have actually been created internally by our support team, technical teams, of common requests that we get from customers, right? Commonly used tools and reports that they ask for. And we figured, hey, if it's being asked for enough, why don't we share it with the rest of our users? Something that I used quite a bit was actually the odometer jump report, and I can share this quick example on just a little bit of productivity safety as well. Was we had a fleet that the drivers got to take their vehicles home for the weekend, and the fleet manager was suspecting that a couple of them were those vehicles were being utilized throughout the weekend, but they weren't sure how much. And definitely we took a look, we utilized this report, and what this report does, it just captures if a device is unplugged and it's plugged back in periodically, it captures if there has been an odometer jump, right? So if the ECM captured that, when it was unplugged, it was at X amount of miles, right? And then when it gets plugged back in, if there's a difference on the mileage, it captures that and it lets the administrator know. But we found a driver who had a couple hundred miles per weekend being logged, and it turned out that this person was traveling across state to visit family over the weekends. And we ran that report for a handful of months, and the number of trips that were being captured, the number of miles that were being put into the vehicle and the company asset, were huge, right? When we found that out, the fleet manager was just astounded of just they weren't aware, right? And one, we're talking about maintenance, wear and tear of a company vehicle. That's the small piece. What about the safety part of this driver's obviously outside of work hours? What parameters is he driving in? As he's traveling across state with his company vehicle, is he drinking? Is he not? Like nothing else can be seen beyond that, right? So it's a huge liability, and some of these tools, right, come in very handy. So I encourage people to definitely pop in and take a look. And actually, I want to take a quick second and show what the marketplace looks like. And I think most of you are familiar, but I know there has been some changes recently. For the marketplace. So I just switched to one of our internal databases here from our team. So if you go into your database and you go into the left to the menu, down to the marketplace right here at the bottom, it's going to bring up our marketplace internally, and there's going to be some new filters that you're going to see, right? Obviously, just the regular solutions you can select from. You can compare a handful of them. One thing you'll notice is the Order Now solutions is a big program that Geotab is rolling out with with partnership with the resellers. And I'll show it real quick. One of our solutions that we have in Order Now is Surfside. It's a camera solution, right, where customers can be empowered to go through, place orders directly through here. And this is enabled by the reseller, right? So if you come in and you don't see Surfside on your Order Now, just contact your reseller and ask them questions on how do you find out more about cameras, how do you find out more about Order Now. But that's one of the filters. Another one is the free solutions, right? And you can come in here and turn it on, and you can see the options that you have. We talked about the collision reconstruction a solution, one of them, right? And they're ready to go, right? It gives you a description, it gives you just images of it, how it works, instructions on how to utilize it, and it's as simple as install now, and you can move forward having it, right? So those are just wanted to walk through some of those steps and some of the changes that we've had on the marketplace. Hopefully that helps. Now, just to talk a little bit about, we talked about what's available, right? The current events, what's happening, some things to consider. What does it look like out there on the road for your drivers right now, right? Operations are ramping up. I'm sure fleet managers and end users are feeling the ramp up, right? What does it mean to have telematics? And something to consider. I always had this conversation with the customers that I supported when I was in the customer success team, and I would ask, number one, right, when I got to know the fleet, I was like, first of all, how large is it? right? And second of all, do your vehicles have logos on them? And 95% of the time, yeah, they did. So something to consider was community image, right? When we spoke about safety and safety behavior, safety scorecard, things like that, it's like, okay, do you have your drivers with your truck and your company logo on their vehicles, speeding, having aggressive driving behaviors, braking over 90 miles an hour on the highway, right? This is a community image, and not only that, right? One is the community image. How is your company viewed in your community? Number one, but number two, we know for a fact, just where we live, how we live now, a lot of companies and vehicles with logo, they're targeted, right? For insurance claims and things like that, cutting them off, forcing them to rear end them, things like that. We've all, I mean, I'm not going to share these, but we've all seen the videos on YouTube, right? So just understanding that, right? That does happen, and we have seen an increase of 7-figure, 8-figure nuclear verdicts put against fleets, and that can be devastating, right? To I think the majority of fleets, Um, and something to keep in mind, right? We are responsible as operators. We are responsible for how our drivers behave in the company vehicle. And I highlighted this. I usually don't like reading off of a slide, but I must say, right? You must be able to show records of your consistent monitoring, policy enforcement, and records of driver coaching and training based on the telematics data. And only then will you greatly reduce your liability after a safety critical event, which means, great, you have a telematics solution. That's awesome. You've expanded it with a marketplace solution, whether it's through cameras or additional solutions, right, to make it more effective. Perfect. Now the question comes in, what are you doing about it? Right? Because I think in most places, as we're coming to understand more and more, is having telematics, a telematics solution and these solutions in place and not do anything with it to monitor and keep track, it's almost as bad as not having a telematics solutions in the first place. And we know that in case of an event, that's going to be one of the first questions that come up if there's a claim or a suit lifted against a fleet, right? It's is there telematics information? And if in some places it's not required by law, but it is so affordable nowadays that the question would be like, how come you don't? Is that negligence on your side? All right, it's an affordable tool, so why haven't you? So I think for fleet managers and for customers, it's almost becoming a catch-22, right? It's if you don't have one, it's looked upon negatively, right? And if you do have one, it's what are you doing with it? Are you using it properly, right? So it's definitely things to consider. And I want to talk about just the marketplace. We went over some of the solutions, and I do want to put emphasis on these solutions that are on the marketplace, the third-party solutions. They go through an extensive vetting process, right? It encompasses business analysis, legal, security, and technical vetting. This process can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months for a solution to go through and be put under the microscope of Geotab and make sure that they're the right solutions to bring into the marketplace. I've seen this experience. Many partners come and say, hey, we have a phenomenal solution. It'll be great for Geotab. Can we join? And they see our list of requirements, which I've actually put a tab here so you guys can see. And a lot of them go, oh, wow, we have a lot of work to do. So it's definitely an extensive process, and it just brings confidence for our end users that if they are going to explore these solutions, they are going to put that investments towards them, they are going to get an ROI for it, right? So that's that piece. And I wanted to just briefly add, how do you find out more, right? And for us, is you have the marketplace. You can definitely visit the marketplace. A lot of the solutions will allow you to ask for information. How that works is when you request information, submit the information there. It goes straight to the marketplace team, and then from there, a subject matter expert, which is a BDM, will engage you from there, or even one of us, right, a channel engagement manager, to just better understand your request. You can also start the conversation with your reseller, right? If you have your reseller and have a specific need, a specific want, feel free to engage them. They'll engage their PAM, their partner account managers, and bring us in, right? So we can better understand your need, and just make sure that what we're providing for you, or the options that we're putting in front of you, are the best ones. So feel free to get those conversations started, engage your resellers, and bring us on, right? Any questions like solutions, order now, camera, things like that, we're happy to be a part of, and really that's what we're here for, to help. I'll leave with that slide. I won't read that, but it's the marketplace mission is really what we're trying to do here and working towards accomplishing. But Sue, I'll open it up. I'm not sure if there has been any questions on your end. I hope this has been valuable to them.
That is really a lot of great information, Carlos. I love the filters on the new marketplace. Just being able
Yeah.
to sort out the free solutions is huge.
Yep. Big time.
Yeah, and actually coming up to like the free solutions and the reports, one of the questions is, what are the differences of the safety reports on marketplace versus the ones that I create in my database?
So some of the differences, I think a lot of times those data points may be similar or the same. It's just going to be how they're built out. The one thing that you'll see on the market, the safety reports that are on the marketplace, they're a little bit more cleaned up. And I won't take credit for that, right? I won't say that the reports that the fleets come up with aren't very clean. Mine aren't either. But these are tailored by our support team. We have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and it'll go up that scale to be sure that one, visually they're clean, that they're set up properly, and they have a better look and feel for the end user, right? Just your report might work perfectly, and that's what you're used to, that's what you like. Perfect. Please continue to do that. But the reports that you'll see in the marketplace, we go through and we spend quite a bit of time making sure they're cleaned up and they can add as much value as possible. Sometimes we go into the data tabs and clean up the excess information that's not necessary, that's not needed for this particular report. And how that helps is it just streamlines the data that's getting pulled and just makes it faster, cleaner, easier to manipulate when you do export that report. So there are some benefits there. If what you're using is working, you have no issue with it, definitely stick with it, right? But if you want to explore it, those are some of the benefits that you'll find.
Excellent. Another question here is, you brought up the accident reconstruction as a free app. Can you explain a bit more what that is?
So it does require the vehicle or the device that's plugged into that vehicle to be either on the Pro or Pro Plus, because it does need access to the engine data and the accelerometer. But in case of an event, right? In case of an event, if your vehicle has an event, what it'll do is you can actually, once added, it'll be a feature that's here on the side. You can enter the vehicle, the date, time, and the date range or when the event happened. It'll pull that event, and it'll actually provide a summarized report, and it'll even give you visuals of considering the accelerometer and the movement and everything that happened within that vehicle. It'll give you a visual of where the impact was, a summary of the speed, RPMs, right? This gives you insight of whether the driver attempted to stop, attempted to speed up. Because of the accelerometer and the different axes that it's capturing, it can even tell you if before the impact the driver attempted to change lanes. So it can give you some insight of what could have happened. And just to put it in perspective, obviously the Geotab, the Go device, is always capturing a tremendous amount of data, but when it captures this large change in accelerometer, it kind of goes into hyper data collection, and it captures second by second anything that might have happened. And that's what this report does, right? It just paints a picture and kind of breaks down what the event looked like, or what were the data points and what happened, right? So it's a big value add. We've used this many times. Many fleets have had accidents, and unfortunately, right? But this was a tool that provided insight for the administrators and the and the fleet managers of what happened with that vehicle. So huge tool.
Very good. And then one last question. Who do I contact for more information on the marketplace? Is there a specific email, or can we call you?
You can start off with number one, your reseller, right? Anything that we do, right? You can definitely contact them, and I'll give you the email in a second. I'll make sure that we share it. But anything that we do, we're always going to keep your reseller involved, right? So, if you want to engage your reseller and they plug us in with us, that's one way to do it. You can always reach out to marketplace@geotab.com, and that will actually come straight to our team, and that's the landing hub, right? It lands there and it goes to the right person, whether it's a channel engagement manager like myself, or if a BDM for a specific category needs to engage from there, right? And then we take the proper approach. So, but marketplace@geotab.com, I think it's the first safe bet that you can go with. And response times, 1 to 2 business days at most, right? I see the inquiries come my way, and it came in this morning, and it's like, hey Carlos, can you please reply to this? I'm like, sure, I'm on. And it's the same day, so you can expect a pretty speedy response when you engage that way.
Fantastic. Carlos, that ends up all the questions. I want to thank you again for your thought leadership on this topic, and also for sharing some of the marketplace pieces that are important to our fleet audience. So that's a wrap for today's Wildcard Wednesday. Until next time, I'm Sue Miller, and on behalf of myself and everyone here at Geotab, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you all next time, same Geotab time, same Geotab channel.